Hey guys, I hope everybody's doing good wherever you are in the world. This is Danish. I'm back with our free community webinar sessions where we invite the experts like Joanna and Gabriel around the topics of immigration, taxes, and company formation. Of course, the idea is to live around the world, but also make our life easier in terms of compliance or saving some bucks in taxes. Because of course, we have a very special situation. We are moving around and always on the go. So before I introduce my guest today, I will quickly gonna share my screen and share some community resources and sponsor or supporter of our this webinar session. So the first resource I'm going to share is the visadb.io. I'm the founder. So this is actually a global visa database to find all the visas listed here and also to hire the verified experts. So you simply go there. Let's say if we type Portugal here, and you will see all the service providers around immigration, taxes, and company formation. Sorry, I went somewhere else. So you type here Portugal, and you can see Gabriel services are here. Non-Habitual tax resident assistance. You can click on it. You can see all the details, and it's a free consultation, so you can chat with Gabriel right there. The second shout out I want to give to Safety Ping. They are the supporter of the community. They have the best products around insurance. Most of the digital nomads use them. Check their website out at safetyping.com. Second shout out to Mercury. They are offering the free bank account to global entrepreneurs who have a US business. It's absolutely free. Even if you send wire transfer to anywhere in the world, it's free. Check this out. So this is some of the shout outs. Now I'm back. So guys, today our guests are Gabriel and Joanna. They work for Lex City. They are in Portugal. Gabriel is an immigration lawyer, and Joanna is a tax expert. So how are you guys, and welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. It's an honor once again. It's the second time.
Yay. Let's dive in straight away. So my first question would be, what is this NHR program? What is it? Can you please tell us?
Sure. So this is a special tax regime created by the Portuguese government, mostly to attract new residents to Portugal. And it foresees several tax benefits, from 0% tax, so actually exemptions on income, to some reduced rates. And
wow. Okay, that sounds good. So I wanted to understand, this is a very very unique program in the European Union, or we can say OECD, which are quite sensitive around taxing issues. But then we see this program comes out, which is kind of give a big tax advantage to citizens. So what is the motivation of this program by the Portuguese government? What they're trying to achieve by offering this program?
Oh, actually, when it was created, Portuguese was an economic crisis. So it actually was created to attract capital and people and investments to Portugal. But it became a success, of course, and the government decided to maintain, and it will be maintained for, we don't know, but for a long time, because it's a success. People are still coming a lot to Portugal.
And adding on top of this, also it's attracting talent. Portugal, it's already seeing a really boom in terms of tech. There is, like some people say, there is the Silicon Valley of Europe, and it's a little bit about this. It's all this environment being nurturing this type of people, but settling in Portugal and coming.
So wow, to attract the attractiveness and also to kind of spark the tech boom in Portugal, this program was created. An incredible program. My third question would be, who is the target audience for this program? Who they're targeting? Are there any profiles, certain profiles?
We can say yes. Firstly, passive income earners, like passive investments, and high level professionals. So with like a lot of IT professionals with very high level of expertise.
Sure.
Yeah, so basically just the two profiles would be, let's say, artists and people who athletes, let's put it like people who receives a lot of income due to their image and so on a path, but also has a lot of investments around the world, but also those, as we were saying, the tech talents and people who have a high added value activity, so engineers, mathematicians, I mean, everyone who can actually bring value to the economic scenery, and be these high profiles, I would say, high added value activities. There is actually a list on this type of
So there is a list, like in generally we can say high net worth individuals, freelancers, engineers. So it's not only like investors, but also some professionals. You mentioned the list of professionals.
I think we can split this regime like for some rules for passive investors and the other for really professionals.
Yeah. So both like active and passive, and the idea is that you are receiving income. Okay, this is incredible. So now we established what is the definition of this program, why they're doing it, and who is it for. Now let's go further. Let's dive deeper. And I would like to ask you, like, if someone this program is targeting certain citizens, or this is available to everyone around the world?
To everyone. The main requirement is actually to transfer the tax residence to Portugal. Okay. So it's free to everyone who come here and become a real tax resident.
Okay, that's interesting. So you half answered my next question. So it's available to everyone. And if we go into the requirements, so what the first requirement you mentioned to get NHR is that you have to transfer the tax residency. We will further explore this, how we're going to do that. But are there any other requirements to apply?
Just two simple ones. So you need to be a new tax resident. Okay, you cannot be a tax resident for the past 5 years. And of course, you have bureaucracy to apply, to present the request on the legal deadline.
Sure. That's it. There's nothing else.
The thing is, then after you are in the regime, we need to analyze which benefit applies to you on your specific case.
Sure. Are there any income requirements? Are there any minimum income requirements you have to have before you apply for this program?
No. The benefit will depend on the type of the nature, on the type of the income, and on the source of the income. So with these two information, we can go to the list of benefits, let's say like this, and see if it is applicable to you or not.
Yeah. So basically, the thing is, there is no restrictions to apply and get the status. But if you're going to take full advantage of it or not, then is the second conversation, because it's open to everyone. But who can benefit from it? Then it's not in the requirements itself, but actually in the analysis of how this status affects you.
Okay, now I will ask you further. As we know, it's available to everyone in the world. There are no kind of serious requirements you need to move your tax residency, and and there's no minimum income requirements. That makes it quite interesting program. And can you please tell us that if some of the people watching it and they have heard about it, they are interested in this program, what are the main benefit of this? Like, why shall I apply for this program? What are the top 3 benefits or top benefits of this program?
Well, you have exemption, so zero tax on mostly all foreign passive income. So 0% tax on dividends and interest, for example, and rents. So if you come to Portugal and have houses in the US, for example, if you receive the rent, would be exempt. If you receive dividends from shares, would be exempt. This is the main. And you could also have exemptions on active income related to high added value activity, or a reduced rate. Not the general rates here, progressive, that sometimes could go up to 50%, but you could be taxed on a fixed rate of 20%.
Okay, that's so the first benefit is the tax savings up to 0%. Technically, the tax rate will be applied. I think that's the huge benefit. And is it this program is famous for that benefit alone, or there are any other things or benefits that comes with this
This
program?
is the main benefit. So the 0% tax benefit is the main one, of course.
Sure.
The other one is for people who only receive pensions. You have a really reduced rate of 10%. These are the main benefits.
Sure. Sounds good. And my question would be, what types of income? I know you already answered half of the question, but let's go further. What types of income are exempted where I don't have to pay any taxes, like a 0% tax rate?
Dividends, interests, rents, royalties.
Okay.
This is more or less straightforward.
But also always remembering that we need to analyze is the treaty between countries. That, for example, the origin of the not of the citizenship, but the origin of the income, where the income is coming from, and understand how both countries have agreed to tax to avoid double taxation, so we can actually apply the NHR on top of it.
So, in a nutshell, our law. So the benefits, the exemption depends on something that is written on the double tax treaty between Portugal and the source country. So we always have to go there and see. But we can say that 90% of the cases, these type of incomes would be exempt.
Sounds good. This is incredible. And thank you guys for asking questions. I will be jumping onto your questions very soon. Please throw them. We have experts, we have immigration, we have lawyers and tax experts here with you. So ask any questions you want. So guys, thank you very much. I have one more questions, which are the general questions people wanted me to ask you. So now we have established, sounds like a good program for global entrepreneurs. Requirements does not look crazy. You know, I might 10 years, you mentioned 10 years, 0% tax rate. That's quite a significant time. I'm kind of interested. I'm ready. What is the process if I decide to apply for this program?
Okay, so first, since you need to be a tax resident, you first need to be allowed to live in Portugal, right? So the first thing to think about is about the visa options, so the immigration matters, okay? And of course, if you are an EU citizen, you don't have any problem. If you are not, Portugal has a lot of types of visa that you could apply.
Yeah, I can go over really quickly about the options. The main ones, it would be the D7, the own income visa, which is for those who can demonstrate that they have a steady source of income or big savings as well that can support their living in Portugal. We have the golden visa, but the golden visa is the one that the requirements allows you to stay. You need to stay at least a minimum of 7 days per year in the country.
Only that.
You can also have the D2 by a company here, be an entrepreneur. I mean, we can explore this further. But first, as Joanna said, the important is to be legally allowed to live in the country, because to be tax resident, you need to be spending, and then she can explain a little bit of the requirements of what it means to be a tax resident in Portugal.
So, I will ask you these questions. I think somebody else asked it me as well. So, so far, let's say the requirements are clear. We have to be in the country. And the one requirement, Joanna, you mentioned earlier, that you have to be a tax resident in Portugal. So let me ask you, how to become a tax resident in Portugal to get benefit from this program?
Yeah. So the main way to become a tax resident is to have a permanent address in Portugal. So via a lease agreement for a minimum 1 year, or you can buy a house for permanent residence, for example. Our law says that you can either be a tax resident if you spend in Portugal 6 months. But we know that in practice, we always need to prove and to present a proof of Portuguese residence. So you need to prove that you have a house here that you intend to live.
Sounds good. So physical address, you need to prove a house. let me ask you, I'm a tax resident. What is the minimum requirement to keep my tax residency active? Number of days? How many number of days I have to be in?
Yeah, to maintain your house here with your tax address here, and of course to spend at least 6 months in any period of 12 months. If someone will count your days in practice, we believe they will not, but you need to spend 6 months in Portugal.
Okay, so I have to, like it's a physical requirement,
Yes.
right? Physically be present in Portugal for half of the year
Yes.
and keep the address for the whole year
Exactly.
in Portugal. Okay.
Yeah, so just important to notice that what needs to be demonstrated to the tax authorities that I mean, you can be a digital nomad, you can be traveling around the world, but your things are here in Portugal, like
It's
that's
like your
where you come back to.
central or vital interest, as
Exactly.
the tax word says.
Yeah, so your interests are here in that house. Basically, that's what you need to demonstrate. But in order to get into a discussion around fighting over your status, it's really down the road, right? So
Sure.
common.
That sounds incredible. I think we have established the basic understanding around this program, who's it for, the benefits, how to apply, how to keep active, how to keep like this program active. Now I want to jump in to some of the questions asked by the attendees here. Let's jump on it. So Violet asks, do I have to prove residency in Portugal, like rent or buy a property? I think you answered that.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can lease an apartment, a house, or buy one.
Sure.
Of course, you can. If you have family here, you can come to live with your family, and they will need to declare that you live there and prove.
Yeah. Okay. Can I ask you? Sorry, go ahead, Gavin.
No, it's important to highlight one point that the rental agreements in Portugal, they are registered in the tax authorities. So this is something really important because some landlords, they try to avoid this because this is declared in their declaration, but it's important because then if you're an immigrant and you need to prove it, the tax authority has the interest to see if your rental agreement is there registered in the system. So this is also important to highlight that any rental agreement that you have in Portugal for a house
Sure.
to be registered with the tax authority.
I think you already answered the future question, which I was using. Like, can I just buy any service or something? No. So it has to be registered. It's documented. All rental agreements are documented. So of course, it's pretty organized. So definitely, guys, you have to register it. Now, Clayton asked, what is the residency requirement? How many days per year do we need to have a year-long lease? I think we already answered. I think it's 6 months. You have to be in the Clayton. 6 months. You have to be physically present in Portugal, and you have to have a 1 year at least the year home address or lease or rental agreement. So these are the two requirements to keep this program active for you. Emma asked, is there a social security tax? If yes, how much?
Yes, it's only applied if you are working in Portugal. So if you only come to live with passive investments abroad, with pensions or passive investments, you are not working, you do not pay. But if you come here and work active as a freelancer or with an employment agreement, you need to pay. The rates depends if you are a freelancer or if you are working for a company. But we could say that mostly around 20%, but not on 100% of your earn. So we could say 20 on 70%. But of course, this is very specific, and we will need to see if you are a freelancer, if you are not, the average of income that you receive. But we can say around 20%.
Exactly.
Sure. Sounds good. And so yeah, if you're making foreign income, passive income, you don't have to pay. If you're working in Portugal, of course, then you have to pay not only taxes but also the social security.
Sorry to interrupt, but there is a very important point here. When you move here, if you continue to pay your social contributions in your home country, you can continue to pay there for a period of time. Okay, so there are social security agreements. For example, with the US, they foresee a 5-year period, so you can come here and only start paying after 5 years if you prove to the authority here that you continue to pay there. Inside the EU, I think are 2 years, so you can avoid paying on the first years we're here.
This is incredible to know, especially people who will be working in Portugal. But thank you, Joanna. And while it asks, do you help with analyzing both countries, the origin country and the Portugal, or just the Portugal? If I think she's saying that if she decide to hire you guys, would you help her considering wherever she comes from, or you will just guide her about Portugal?
I can, if I can jump in. Yes, actually it depends, because right now Lexit is expanding, and now we have offices in Greece, France, Italy. So in these countries we already have a presence, and we can have our colleagues supporting there. But also when it comes, for example, from the US, which we don't have yet this presence there, still we already have built up knowledge that although we don't have someone that will be locally supporting there, we already know how things works by our past experience, but it's something that we are constantly working on to expand our
but
network.
Of course, we always advise to have a lawyer in your other country to analyze exit taxes and all the obligations that you need to comply there in order to change your tax residence, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Our goal is actually to expand our network so we can also support on this side.
Sure.
But it's tough because there's so many countries in the world, in the US, 50 states.
You can. But you can study right there, and then you can help them. That's cool. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. And so Carol asked, can this exemption be applied to business income? And if so, does your business need to be registered in Poland? I think she's talking about the corporate income. Is it this NHR program is for individuals, right? I guess not for corporate.
Yes, only for individuals. But if you have a business outside Portugal and you receive the dividends, then the dividends would be
that would be considered. So Kerala, yes and no. So no business income, only personal income, but yeah.
Yeah, just adding on, it's always we can have a further analysis and conversations to understand what would be the best structure. Maybe opening up another company in Portugal, trying to understand how these would fit in the planning, so we can find the best solution.
And sometimes the foreign type of company also is important for if you have a flow-through entity or as a real corporations. This is always important to analyze.
That's cool. Ricky is asking, what is the treatment of Portuguese income under NHR? What he's asking, I guess, if you earn foreign income as well as locally you're working and you are under NHR program, so how is going to tax?
So there is only one tax benefit applicable to Portuguese income. There's no exemption on Portuguese income. The only benefit is a reduced rate of 20% instead of the progressive ones, which goes until 50%. So 20% on active income, freelancer or employment, if your activity is considered as a high added value activity. So if you come to Portugal and start working with one of these professionals in the list, you can be taxed by a fixed 20% rate. But for example, if you receive rent in Portugal, dividends from a Portuguese company, then normal taxation.
Sure. So guys, please keep asking questions. I will be covering all the questions. Don't worry, there's so many questions now. But let's move. I will move fast because I know I've asked half an hour from you. So apologies for 10 minutes. It takes longer. Rishi is asked, if I have a partial amount of passive income but also have savings, is there a threshold where they will allow, e.g., you have 75% of passive income and allowance, but you have more than 20K? Like, what he's asking, how do you treat savings under NHR program?
So there's no threshold. The thing is, you need to declare to the Portuguese authorities your worthwhile income, of course, but just the income. So if you have the deposits, savings, itself, they are not taxable. Only the income which derived from the savings.
Yeah, so it's just Portugal just tax incomes. We don't have like as for example in
Assets
Spain.
tax.
Yeah, they have like wealth tax. For example, Portugal doesn't have a wealth tax. It's not about how much money you have in savings, as long as if they are savings, they are not producing any interest on top of that. There is any financial applications on top of that. There's no taxation.
Yeah. It's like just cash, hard cash lying in the
Exactly.
bank accounts. So that's cool. That's good to know. Carol asked, can you speak about solidarity tax in relation to active income, whether on Portugal earned income or foreign income? I don't know about this solidarity tax.
We don't have a solidarity tax. So here, where's her questions?
Yeah.
It's related to active income, right?
Yeah. Yes, in relation to active income. So you can go to Q&A tab and then you can see.
I think she's asking about like extra tax, apart from the normal rates, which Portugal already had in the past. We do not have this solidarity tax anymore. But we have our progressive rate, which goes from 14% to 50%. Okay. Of course, it's progressive, so the rates apply to each break of the income. But yes, we have some extra tax, which goes from 3, 5, and 9%, if I'm not mistaken, if you receive more than 80,000 a year. But it's just applicable on the difference. So yes, exists like the extra tax. For the extra income, but we could always present a simulation and the breakdown of what taxes.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think again it's very complicated. I think it's better to have one-on-one because every situation is different. There's no general answer. The Shane asked, how do Portugal check if I'm physically in Portugal at least for 6 months per year, since Portugal is a Schengen country? Good question.
It's a great question. In practice, we can say that they do not control that. Okay, they do not have the means to enforce this law. Okay, so in practice, if you come here, register as a tax resident, but go to Madrid by car, tax authorities cannot know. But if they want to know, they can. So there's always risk.
Sure.
And more important than that, this could trigger problems in the other country that you are in, because the other country could consider you as a tax resident, and then you have a dual residence problem.
Sure.
Just when I come with a question myself, can they check, like, for example, your water consumption, energy consumption, to see if your house, like, it's active?
They cannot check, but they could ask you to present proof that you were here.
Sure. There is like everybody has to take this risk. Is there risk they have to consider? I think there's no advice around that. So Shane,
the risk is there. If they want to know, they can exchange information with the other tax authorities, and they are starting to do that a lot. So they could call the Spanish tax authorities and ask if you were there. So
what we can do is we can share our experience. And we can do a planning considering what we have seen so far. But of course, and we are advisors, so we by the end of the day we give our opinion, legal opinion, like should you do it or not. So and then you do what.
So Shane, yeah, you know the answer. Like 28 countries, yeah. So you know what to do. All right. So Clayton asked, if I participate in the Golden Visa program, did you say I only have to be in Portugal 7 days a year and stay tax resident?
No. So the 7 days is only for immigration
purposes. Because, so just adding on this question, is because most of the all others besides the Golden Visa, all other options demands you to have a minimum stay in the country.
Sure.
So which could be 6 months. Actually, it's a negative rule. You should not be absent from the country for more than 6 months in a row or 8 months combined per year. This is an immigration requirement. Otherwise, your residence permit or your visa can be canceled. The Golden Visa, by investing, gives you the opportunity to be away and just come here for holidays. But
Sure.
if you want to come, use the golden visa and also be a tax resident, you can as well. But it's just that you're not required to be in the country for immigration purpose. So by complementing, the golden visa is the only visa that allows you to be in the country without being a tax resident. So it's actually an opt-in consideration.
But if you want a tax regime, you need to be a tax resident.
Exactly.
Okay, and for that you have to be in the country for 183 days, I guess?
Exactly.
Perfect. All right, sounds good. Wow, I didn't know that even for immigration you need to be a number of days, which makes sense. So you might ask, if I live 6 months in Portugal, do I have to file for my income for only 6 months or the whole year?
Okay, this is a good question. So in your first year, imagine that you decide to come to Portugal in 2022 and you move just in July. Mm-hmm. Then this first year, it's applicable a partial residency rule, and you will only declare the income that you receive after arriving in Portugal. So you would declare in 2022 income received from July to December. After that, since you are a tax resident for the whole year, then you declare the whole year income.
Sure, that's incredible. Thank you very much. And I think if you're filing for the whole year, would you be paying taxes for all the income or the income which is you have to pay taxes on?
You declare, so it's mandatory to declare worldwide income, everything that you receive in the world, you put in the tax return, and then they will apply the benefits. And maybe you could pay zero if all the income benefits from something.
Sure. Because
you can declare income which benefits from an exemption and other income which does not benefit. Then you would pay just the relevant tax.
Sure. Sounds good. Anika asks, what happens when I work online for foreign customer in other countries? I think I can answer that. I think income is income if it's foreign, I believe. So nothing is different.
Yeah. What is relevant here, it's where let's say the invoice, it's invoicing. For example, if you're a freelancer and you are invoicing and you are registered in the tax authority in Portugal as an independent worker, which is the name we use for freelancers here, the official one, and you issue an invoice in Portugal, it's considered that the income, it's a Portuguese one, although it can be invoiced for.
But we should always, in order to analyze the benefits, we need to look where the money is coming from. So we will need to look who is paying that.
Sounds good. And we are already over time, but I will ask a few questions left quickly. Lily asked that, does this apply if you're a European? Is it is any difference if you're a European?
Only for immigration. So the tax regime is the same for everyone.
Yeah.
For immigration, which is different easier, because you don't need to have a visa if you are a European citizen. You only need to make some register in the city hall, but only that.
Yeah, it's bureaucratically simpler for European Union citizens and for immigration purpose, but for tax, as
sure.
Rana said, it's the same for everyone.
Last three questions. One is regarding the cost as well, about you, how to reach you, which of course we can share. Does a physical mailbox qualify as a tax address? I can answer that. No, Shane, you have to have a rental agreement which is submitted to Portuguese authorities, which could be verifiable when you start the process. If they do it or not, but it has to be documented. You cannot use the physical mailbox or someone's address. Rishi asked, how do they treat foreign investment income that is not passive, e.g., for example, from trading as a full-time job? Does that qualify as 0% tax under this program?
This is not passive income, so this is professional income, right? Traders. So this is not dividends or interest. This is professional income. And we should analyze the activity to see if is a higher value activity, for example.
Sure.
But does not apply the zero tax because it's not passive.
Yeah. Let me ask you one question around digital or new form of income, let's say crypto income or coins income. If having gains. How do you consider, is that a type of income or it falls in this program?
No. So what happens here in Portugal is that Portugal has still no law on income from trading crypto. Okay, we have only a piece of information from the tax authorities that says that the income from trading crypto would be a capital gain because you are selling something. But we in Portugal can only tax capital gains derived from assets that are specifically listed in our law. Since crypto is not there yet, we cannot tax unless trading is your professional activity. Then it's not a capital gain; it's professional income.
So it seems like, yeah, they will be like a lot of countries, they don't have no idea how to regulate this. So it's under kind of, it's not an income, guys. So take advantage if you are in crypto, you know.
So far, but correct me if I'm wrong, but you can realize you can bring on your gains and have a net, let's say like this, and you wouldn't be paying tax in Portugal so far.
Exactly. So this is really subjective because the tax authority says unless you are a professional trader. So when do you become a professional trader? How much do you need to trade to be a professional trader? And actually, we don't have an answer to that because we don't have information in Portugal, no law, nothing about it. Of course, we can give some tips. If you trade every day, if you do not have any other source of income, if you do not have any other job. So there are some tips, some types of investor that there's more risk related.
Thank you very much, guys. I forgot Stuart's question. Sorry, Stuart. Let me ask you. I somehow skipped your question. It's a very interesting question. It's actually, does a boat count as a residence in marine or in a mariner?
That's a really good question. I believe it, yes. Actually, we never had a case like that. But thinking about the law, they do not say apartments or house. So if the boat has all the conditions to be your permanent home, why not?
Yeah, it's like this gray zone areas where we would need to,
yes, to
like
confirm.
the tax authorities most definitely, like one or another has deal with it in their lifetime, but
I'm pretty sure they would not accept at
yeah,
first.
we would need to fight a little bit, but it's doable, I believe. Yeah. So.
But I believe that if you are in a marine here, you have some type of contract with the marine to pay the rent of the marine. So you have proof to show that you were there. But this would be very interesting to see with the tax authority.
Yeah, if you want our help, we'll be pleased to find out.
Digital nomads, are interesting people. So guys, just to let you remind you that Joanna and Gabriel are always there. They offer free consultancy and also paid consultancy if your case is complicated and they have to spend time. And they are not some corporate expensive lawyer. No, they are for digital nomads. Their profile, their customers come from digital nomads. So it's not for enterprises. They're not working for Coca-Cola. They are for us. They're for entrepreneurs, for tech people, for professionals, freelancers. So, and they are our community approved experts. So feel free to reach them out, and we know them. They're our friends. I've visited their offices in Madrid myself. So you can hire them or talk to them. They're very approachable. You can see them. They're very friendly and very cost effective as well. And if you come from this community, if you tell them there is a special discount, they will also offer you and give you special treatment like a friend. I'm sure I'm not missing out any questions, but I think we're already about 40 minutes. So if I've missed out any question, please apologies, but you can also reach them out. There is a link at the top of this webinar. You can see that. Click on this link, click chat, and you'll be connected with Gabriel straight away. And Joanna will be notified as well if you have any specific questions around taxes or NHR. Gabriel also is an immigration lawyer, so he will guide you about D7 visas, D2 visas, golden visas, or to be honest, any other temporary residence permits available in Portugal for you. So again, they are our community approved experts, lawyers, specialists. Reach them out, feel free, and there is a link as well. Guys, I want to take out a moment to show my gratitude on the behalf of 150,000 people who are not there, but they will be watching it and also everyone else on the YouTube will be watching it. So thank you very much for coming, for sharing this incredible knowledge with friendliness, with honesty. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure as usual. And whenever you feel like having these conversations, we are proud to participate.
Yes, I think this is going to help in my community, but now we are putting them on YouTube, so it's going to help our global, I think, people, everyone in the world. Everybody, thank you, and promise me to have a great party this weekend. Have a lot of fun and rest. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.